welcome to the DVD. Let's discover what's possible for you. My name's Tony Harrington and I'm the working class warrior. Now the people call me the working class warrior for a reason, and the reason is that I'm passionate about working people and families in this country. So, you know, I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm no brain surgeon, but I'm just a guy that went out, worked on building sites, figured out ways to use my money, make my money work for me, and turn my whole life around. So I'm going to tell you tonight a little bit about my story, about who I am, what I'm about, what I've got to offer you. So I'm going to presume that if you've got this video DVD, I'll presume that your partner has probably seen me speak either out on a building site today, or maybe in a public arena somewhere at a public event, or may have even seen me speaking inside a company somewhere. And I presume that, you know, more than likely they've filled out one of my financial discovery forms. Hopefully that just gives me a basic snapshot of, you know, where someone is today financially and where they're potentially wanting to go, and I'm presuming that that's already happened. So if it is your husband or is your partner, give him a good pat on the back, because he's actually made a pretty good step on behalf of you and the family to help you go forward with your life and your financial future. So hopefully you've also got the letter, the partner letter that I've included with the DVD. Hopefully you've sat down and read that. Part of what I said on that letter was to basically sit yourself down, grab a cup of tea, get yourself a glass of nice red wine, and just kick back, relax and enjoy the session. So look, really, my life story was pretty simple. I was just a guy, I grew up in the country, 8 kids in the family. Look, all I wanted to do was play footy. Got into plenty of trouble at school, made plenty of friends out in the corridor. You know, so really all I wanted to do was just get out of school when I was about 15 and just leave and go and work and start to make a living. And I went out and I did that for probably the next 20 years. Now, being doing that, I went and worked in the building industry, and I spent, you know, 32 years in the construction industry, 24 years on site as a construction worker, another 8 years working for Co-Investor Long Service Leave Scheme in there, where I actually help building workers and their families with long service leave issues. Well, after 20 odd years of working on construction sites, I was pretty much doing what most people do, blowing my money day to day, week to week, year to year, and at the end of 20 years didn't really have a lot to show for it. 1994, I went out and I bought a business, I bought a franchise. I got completely ripped off by the franchise owners. I lost every cent I had in 1994. I was completely broke. I wasn't completely broke, I had about 10 bucks left. And at the same time, my marriage broke up, and I was left to bring up 3 kids on my own as a single dad. And at the time, you know, 1994, my kids were 8, 7 and 3 at the time. So what I did, I went back to work, went back to building sites, figured out a way to get babysitters and all those sort of things, you know. And if you're sitting there, you've got to juggle a job, looking after the kids, manage the home, manage the budget, manage the finances. I'm a bit of a Mr. Mum, you know. I did a lot of that sort of stuff, and you know, I did it for years. My kids are, you know, well into their 20s now. But yeah, so, you know, I can empathise with you there about what it's like to bring up kids and raise a family and work and do all those sorts of things that we do. So if you're in that boat, it's a credit to you as well. So what I started to do, you know, I just figured out that, you know, there's more to life than just going out there and just working for money. Going out there making the boss rich. Going out there making somebody else tons of money while I'm out there struggling away week to week, week to week. So what I started to do is I started to read some books, I went to some seminars, I started to get some coaches, some mentors, I did some programs, I bought DVDs. I started to spend a lot of money on getting my brain and changing my thinking around. When I did that though, my world started to go in a completely different direction. Basically what happened was that I went out in the early 2000s, I started to buy property and I started to invest. Now I didn't specifically know what I was doing, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't specifically have anybody around me who was actually teaching me and helping me and guiding me. I just sort of went out in the street and did it. And in 5 years, in just under 5 years, I was working full time on building sites, raising 3 kids as a single dad. I built $1.3 million worth of property in the first 5 years. So once I started to do that and I started to learn and grow and understand, you know, I then started to get a passion. I said, well, this isn't that hard. Let's go out and teach other people how to do it. So what happened was that a couple of years ago, I had 2 phone calls. It was in February, and I had 2 phone calls in the same week, and from a couple of really good old dear mates of mine who had worked their entire lives around construction sites. And the phone calls were both the same. It was uncanny how it happened. Tony, I know I've been retired 3 or 4 years, but you know what, mate? You know plenty of people around the building industry, around, you know, any chance you can get us a job, I'm going to go back to work. And I got both of these phone calls and it just sat me back. I said, what's going on? What do you mean you're going back to work? You've been retired 3 or 4 years. What's happened? Well, the so-called GFC, all I had was my house. I had some super. I've lost 40% of my super. I'm not going to survive. I'm going to have to go back to work. You know what? At 67, 68 years of age, I thought, this is just tragic. And then I thought back over all my years in the building industry and I thought, how many people have I seen work their entire lives in the building industry and end up broke? It was time and time and time again. I've seen it happen to good, honest, hard-working Aussie people, you know. You're out there, you're working, you're trying to survive, you're looking after your family, you're trying to raise your kids, you're trying to educate them, you're trying to help your kids go forward in life, which is another tough ask. And yet here we go, we end up at retirement with not much to show for it. I've got some, I'm going to show you a couple of slides that basically, I'll show you why I think that happens, you know, because I was no different to everybody else out there. I was doing the same as everybody else, doing the best with what we know. Yet here we go, the government doesn't teach us, banks won't teach you, the schools will not teach you. You've got to go out and learn it and understand it and start to do things for yourself. So let me just show you a couple of quick slides on why I think this happens to most people in this country. Here we go. Most people end up in the rat race, okay? So here's what we're told when we're young. Go to school, get an education. Well, look, I didn't get an education. I didn't go to a universal. I just learnt the school of hard knocks. I just learned out in the street. I just learned off building sites, etc., you know? So that's what we're taught. Get a good job or go and start a business. Now, get a good job. When you get a good job, what's the next thing they tell you to do? Come on. Yep, work hard for your money. That's right. Go out. Work hard for me. The boss wants you to work hard. He's the one making the profit. He's the one pocketing the money. You're there working for a pittance, right? This is what we do. Go out, we get a bit of money, we try and buy a nice car. We get married, we buy our home, all right? Let's get a mortgage. Here we go. 30 years, 40 years, we've got that noose hanging around our necks. This is why people get stuck. They're stuck in debt, they can't afford it, the banks have got you by the short and curlies, now you're in trouble. What are you going to do now? Well, then I'm just going to have to work my ass off and just hopefully I just try and pay this sucker off. That's where we go. Have some superannuation. This is the big catch cry today. Get your super, have your super. Well, the super funds have been getting smashed for years. Yet I don't see anybody going out there teaching good, honest, working class people how they can minimise the damage, how they can manoeuvre it. Can you do something? Is there a better way? I don't see anybody out there teaching people how to do this. So once you get caught in the rat race like that, you're stuck, you're addicted to income. Your income level now determines your lifestyle. And for most people, they cannot afford to live the lifestyle that they really, really want to live. Think about it, folks. Are you really living the life that you really want to live? Are you doing the things that you really want to do? Or is it money and finances and debt that's holding you back and keeping you where you are and stopping you in your tracks, yeah? And for most people, one of the biggest reasons why they don't go forward and why they don't do anything, they've got a massive fear around money, a fear of losing money, a fear of getting ripped off, a fear of being, you know, just you make a mistake. Look, I made mistakes along my path, along my journey. Make no mistake about that, but I did. However, having said that though, boy, a couple of the mistakes that I made, yeah, they weren't good at the time, but I can tell you now, they're going to serve me and they were actually some of the best things that happened to me. You know, losing every cent I had in 1994. Terrible experience at the time, but boy, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I learnt so much about me, money, life, people. You know, I will never make the same mistakes again, see, but I was able to learn from it. So here's where we are. This is where most people are stuck. Now, people who follow this strategy, I'm going to show you, this is where they end up. These are ABS stats, folks. They're not my stats. I didn't make this stuff up. This is Australian Bureau of Statistics that are real live and they're live today. 80.4% of people in Australia today, the lucky country, we're the so-called lucky country, are going to retire on under $21,000. That's a lousy $400 a week, under $400 a week. Now, when you retire on that sort of money, you think about it today. If you're 5, 10, 15, 20 years from today, what do you think $400 is going to be worth? Probably go to the footy, you won't get a meat pie and a couple of pots. You know, it's just not going to cut it for most people. And I'm out here to try and help people and wake people up that the sucker strategy that we've all been sucked into isn't going to do it for most of us, right? Your own home and your own super is not going to be enough for most people. I've had over 500 building workers right now fill in my financial form, right? My financial discovery forms. For over 500, 91.2% of those people are going to run out of money. Check this out, they're going to run out of money within 5 to 7 years of retiring. So my question to you is this: if that's going to happen to you, if you're one of the 9 out of 10 that's going to predictably happen to, what are you going to do? What are you going to live on? You're going to sell your own home. What are you going to do? See, all I'm saying to people is, have your home, have your super, but gee, have something else going on here. Have your money under control. Have your finances under control. Get yourself in a position where you're starting to make money work for you. Now, simple fact over here too, the government stats is that 90% of people are going to retire under 30,000 bucks. That's not a lot of money either. So please, please get this. If you get anything out of this DVD today, take this away. The strategy that you're using, 9 people out of 10 are presumably going to fail. Okay? So you need to ask yourself a question here. Is that the sort of life that you want for your family? That the sort of life you want for your kids? That the sort of life you want for your future? See, 45 years of hard yakka, working, hard yakka, long hours, right? Let's just work this out. 45 years, you're working 48 weeks of the year. Now, I'm going to presume that you're one of the odd ones these days who does take 4 weeks holiday every year. I hope you do, because you need it and you deserve it. You take your 4 weeks holiday, so you're working 45 years, 48 weeks a year, and you're working on average, let's say 40 hours a week. That's around about 86,500 hours of your life that you've used making someone else rich. And after 85,500 hours of hard yakka, you're going to retire on under 21 grand? In Australia, the lucky country, I think that's an absolute joke. No one teaches good fashion, old-fashioned, working class people how to take a portion of their money and make it work. Who's educating you? Who's educating your kids? The government aren't teaching you. The banks want to keep you down. The banks want to keep you in debt. They keep control over you. You've got the noose around your neck, and here you go, you know what, man, I'm stuck 30, 40 years. This is it. This is life. It's not what it's about. It's not what you were meant to be doing. Your life, your fun, your joy, your passion, your kids, your family, your leisure time, they're the things you're sure to be doing. Now, you know, at 86,500 hours, just get this though, right? I haven't included overtime in that. And I know a lot of people work 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I haven't included travelling time. You get out of bed at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You're on the road for half an hour to an hour, 2 hours going to work now with peak hour traffic, hour, hour and a half, 2 hours coming home. Add the hours up, folks. This is what you're sucked into. And I want to help you get out of that struggle, get out of that week-to-week, payback-to-payback mentality, and learn how to get your money to start working for you so your life becomes the life that you want to have. Let's have a look here. Okay, here's a basic strategy. This is what most people do, okay? Traditional working class people in this country get their income, then pay their debts. So they pay their mortgage, they pay their rent, they pay their groceries, their shopping, their food, they pay their social life, their kids, their school, their education, and all of a sudden, at the end of the week, there's no money left at the end of the week, right? That's what most people do. That's the strategy. That's what you follow. However, the only difference between people who have money and people who don't is this. Wealthy people get paid. They take a small portion of what they earn, they invest it in assets that build and grow, i.e. property, etc., right? Which is what I started to do. Then they learn to live on what's left. So there's it. If you even just take that strategy away out of this DVD and apply something like that into your life, where you just pay yourself first. You're number one, you're most important. I want you to enjoy the spoils of your labour. You're out there putting in the hours and the work, then you should be the one out there getting the fruit from it. Pay yourself first. It's a really simple strategy, but I guess what? I'll bet you anything you like, your kids don't learn it, you've never learned it, you may never have seen it before, you may never have even heard of the concept. Go and teach your kids that. When your kids start work, teach them that. Teach them the wealth creation model on the right-hand side. Every time they get paid, take a portion of that and put it into an asset that builds and grows. Get them to start to save, and learn how to put it into assets. Your kids will be better off, you'll be better off, their future will be better off, okay? Cool. All right, let's move on. So, here's what I'm offering today on the DVD, right? What I want to offer you is a 7-point financial discovery session with me and my finance guys, okay? We're going to look at 7 key areas of your life, of your money, of your finances. Now we're going to have a look at your personal life goals and lifestyle goals. What is it about you? What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What sort of things do you want to have? You know, let's discover that, because for most people, they've got their head in the sand, they're just too busy battling away, day to day, week to week. They're in the grind, they don't even think about life, they don't even think about their future. I learned about goal setting back in 1998. I mean, and when I read, I thought, man, why didn't someone teach me this at school? This isn't rocket science. What, you can plan your life? Whoa, let's go plan it. And I started to apply it. Boy, that's what's made the difference. So we'll have a look at that. One of the most important steps that I could see. We'll also have a look at your current cash flow situation, okay? So your money that's coming in and money going out, income in, expenses going out. There isn't a client who I've sat with yet who we haven't been able to make some subtle changes to free up more cash flow. When you free up more cash flow, pay down more debt, get rid of your mortgage, wipe those banks out of your life and start to then use that money towards assets and growth, all right? This is what you want to have a look at. So we'll discover all that with you as well, all right? Have a look at a saving strategy, a lifestyle strategy. You know, I see people go, you know, I'd love to travel here, I'd love to do that. You know what? They don't have a plan. Think about the house that you're sitting in right now watching this DVD. Would you try and build a house without a plan, without a vision, without a purpose? Going, do you know what? This is a goal. We want to build this, but you've got no plan, you've got no vision, you can't see it, you've got no plan. What are you going to do? You'll try to build something, but all of a sudden it'll get shaky, wonky, it'll tip, it'll fall, the whole thing will come down. Your financial house is no different. No plan, no strategy, no structure, no foundation, bang, the whole thing topples over. All right? This is why people get stumped all the time when it comes to some money. This is basic stuff, but I could show you when you come in and have a sit down with us and have a chat about it, we can really put some good stuff on the table and show you what to do. Let's also have a look at any current debts that you've got, have a look at your loans, your interest rates, your credit cards. People are being screwed to the wall on credit. You know, and the latest statistic that came out recently was that Australians have now got $54 billion in credit card debt. Hello? $54 billion in credit card debt. It's insane how people are living, right? Way beyond their means. We need to clean that up, wipe that crap out. Let's get you down where you start to make that money work for you and put it where you got it, where you get first, which is to you, right? How to pay down your mortgage faster. There's a number of ways of looking at mortgages and loans and structures, you know, terms and conditions. How the bank has positioned you. See, the bank wants you in debt. The bank doesn't want you out of debt because the banks make their money off having you in debt. That's how they make their money, right? They're not your friend. They're not there to look after you and make you wealthy. They're there to take and keep you in debt so that they keep making the profits for the shareholders. That's what banks are about, okay? Let's look at that because, again, quite often when people come in and have a sit down with me and my finance guys, we have a chat about where's your loans, what's going on. Most people haven't even looked at them. Most people haven't even reassessed them. People have had loans for 4 or 5 years and don't even know what interest rate they've got. I'm amazed at how little interest people take in their own finances, you know. Let's have a look at that because are you set up right? Are you structured right? Have you got the best deal? We can help you do that and maybe change that around, free up more cash, clear up more debt. Let's have a look at it. Okay, we also have a look at what's your current borrowing capacities, what are your comfort levels, where are you at in life going forward, because learning how to leverage other people's money and how to use other people's money to work for you is a key strategy for wealth creation for people in this country, right? Yet most average working people out there don't know about it, don't know how to do it, and by all means, you know, they just don't know how they're going to go forward. So that's the idea. It's a completely no obligation, confidential, come and sit down with us, let's chew the fat, let's have a chat about it, let's see what's going on in your life and see if we can help you make a few subtle changes that are going to make the world of difference to you and your family. Now, I'm also going to put on now for you, I'm going to whack on a testimonial from a couple of my happy clients, and boy, sit back, watch this for a couple of seconds and you'll just see how people feel after they've had an experience with me.
Yeah, Tony, for many, many years, Sharon and I have always had a desire to acquire an investment property or properties, and the reason for that obviously is to have an income and some assets post our retirement, which, you know, is not far away, and as life is so busy, you don't think about these things, and all of a sudden it could be too late. So obviously it's very, very important for us to actually go and do a financial wealth check. Thanks to Tony, who obviously put us on the right path here. Through his own experience and knowledge, he basically gave us a guidance and lead to actually take that step, which we have. So I'm very pleased to say that we've got our first investment property.
Finally, after a lot of nagging.
A lot of excuses, but as
we
I said,
can't do it, what
busy.
if, and yeah, it wasn't until we finally sat down and did a wealth check and worked out what we actually did have that, yes, we can afford to do it, we can certainly do this, and yeah, where we are today, with Tony and his help, gosh, moving us along the way, we've now got our first investment property, and it's also rented out, which is fabulous. And he had a lot of Tony helps along the way with a lot of financial.
And that's a big difference too. Like with his experience and contacts within the network of specialists, there was a saving of over 20k, which we couldn't have done. That's just through his own knowledge and experience and contacts.
That's a big saving.
Absolutely.
when you're doing investment.
Part of that was saving, stamp duty and other things, and helping us work out our debt and debt recovery, and saving for yourselves, that sort of thing. So that made a huge difference. And we're going to have a network of people there now, to help us with landlord insurance, financial planning, depreciation value of the property to get the best out of it. So that's been fantastic. So
huge savings, with the wealth knowledge that Tony's got us along the way. So that's been fabulous.
So we finally did it, but it's taken a long time. But we finally got there. It's really important to actually look at yourselves and instead of just give to everyone, your family and your work, you've got to think about yourself and your future, because life goes pretty quick and all of a sudden you're retired and you need income, as we all know, so very important.
And I would definitely recommend anybody, mums, dads, sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, to have a chat to Tony, because I tell you what, it's well worth it, and we wouldn't be where we are today, this moment, if it wasn't for Tony. So Tony, thank you very much, because you certainly moved Dean, who was very hesitant in getting, no, we'll wait for this and we'll wait for that. And I said, well, we've got to do something. So thank you, Tony.
Yep, thanks, Tony. Wish you all the best, and we look forward to working in the future.
Okay, and at the session, when you come in with me and we sit down and we do the discovery session with you and your partner, basically we're going to have a look at the 7-point financial security discovery test. So the 7 things that I just spoke about, that's what we're going to nail down. That's what we're going to nut. Now, whether you do or don't do anything with me, it doesn't matter. You're going to walk out the door, you're going to be much better informed, you're going to have more information, more knowledge, more options. You'll see where you're at, you'll have a better understanding of your money and your finances, and you'll definitely walk out and know what's possible for you. And I would dare say that the chances are you'll either make some good money or save some money just by going through that session. So hang out with me and we'll do that. I'll also show you, while we're sitting down, a 7-step process that I use to help people secure their financial futures. Now, my numbers are really, I strictly limit how many numbers I take on. I only take on between 6 to 8 clients per month. Now, there's a reason why I do that. I don't have the time or the capacity to go out and take on 10, 20, 30, 40 people at a time. Right? What I want to do is give individualised service, quality time. People come and see with me. We take you on a little step-by-step, hold your hand journey that we just take you through, right? Basically the reason why I do that is I need to know that you, number one, are committed, okay? I ring you up and I'll qualify you over the phone. Now, what I'll also do is that, I don't want to work with people who are half-hearted. Look, I'm sorry, but I'm just really upfront here. I'm straight down the line with this. I only want to work with people who seriously want to do something, who seriously want to change. You've had enough of where you're at. You've had enough of the struggle. You've had enough of the battle. No one's helped you out along the way. Well, the warrior's here. The warrior's the one that's going to pick you up and help take you on that journey. See, my job is to really catapult you to go forward, to help you take those steps, to have that confidence and belief in yourself that, you know what, this is okay. I've helped hundreds of building workers do this. Just take those little steps, just move forward and just go one step at a time. I'm there to do it, and I'm there to help you do that. Now, basically, I will only work with clients who are really serious, who really want to play and really want to do this gig, okay? And if it's not for you, by all means, I'm not offended. If it's not for you, that's cool too, right? However, if it is for you though, boy, I guarantee you, take some action, because we're going to help you do some pretty cool stuff. Now, the rewards in life for me generally go to the people who take action. Now, back in 1994 when I was broke and lost every cent that I had, what were my choices? I could have just wallowed, I could have had self-pity, I could have just went down a path of destruction, you know, I could have just went down the loser path. But I chose to go a different track. That, you know what, what's done's done, I can't change what's happened, but I'll tell you what I can do, I can control what goes on from today going forward in my life. And I thought about my kids and my future and how I'd been living. Like, you know what, man, I'm going to go out and I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it around and tip it on its head. That's what I've done, you know. I don't know if I showed you my book, but I'm a published author. I've written a book on this topic. And, boy, you know what, people read the book and just get value out of the book. So if you come along and see me, you may even just take a book, but who knows. So I want people who are going to go forward and people who are going to take action. So here's what's going to happen. Within the next 2 days, I'll personally pick up the phone and give either you or your partner a call. Now, it's a pre-qualifying call. I want to get on the phone, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to ask you a few questions. I need 5 to 10 minutes with you, have a chat about this, and I just want to see how serious you are and how fair income you are about wanting to do something. And if I think you're a good fit for me and you think I'm a good fit for you, then we'll go in and we'll sit down and we'll tee up a time and we'll just go and have the no obligation discovery session and add a lot of value for you there. However, if you're sitting there now and you've got a bit expired, you've got a bit pumped up, hopefully you haven't spilt your red wine or tipped over your cup of tea, I want you to really take the initiative then. By all means, if you think, you know what, I'd love to go and sit down, I'd love to go and sit with Tony and his finance guys and have a chat about where we are and what we're doing. If that's you, jump on board, pick up the phone now, give me a call me direct, 0411 814 314, that's 0411 814 314. Give me a call direct. If I don't pick the call up, I'll take the message, I'll get back to you straight away. Alternatively, either give me an email and say, you know what, I'm interested in having a talk to you, pick up the phone and ring me. Give me an email on tony@workingclasswarrior.com.au and I'll definitely come back to you as soon as I pick up the emails as well. If you want more testimonials, if you want a little bit more proof about who this Tony guy is, you know, why should you believe me? Well, go to my website, www.workingclasswarrior.com.au and have a look for yourself. I've got other testimonials online there. I've got video testimonials. I've got written testimonials off people. You know, I predominantly work through, you know, a lot of the unions in town know me pretty well. They know I've been around the traps for a long, long time, 30, 32 years out there. Never ripped anybody off, never screwed anybody. I'm just a down-to-earth Aussie bloke who sees a major, major problem in this country. And it breaks my heart to see Aussie families busting their gut for 30, 40, 50 years of their life, 60 years of their life. People are working into their 70s now. I mean, this is just crazy. Someone has to go out and do it. I put my hand up. I said, you know what? I'm going to design a business. I'm going to design a plan. I'm going to design a strategy. I'm going to go out and help and teach and coach as many people as I can to change their lives and do something with their money so that your life is good, your family gets looked after, your kids get looked after, but not only that, their kids, and we start a whole new culture. Everybody starts to learn, everybody starts to grow, everybody starts to teach, everybody starts to help people go forward. That's what I'm all about. I'd like to leave you just with a final thought here, and the thought of it would be this, you know, which future do you want? You've got a choice. You could stay the way you are and just go down the life of, you know, where there's a pension, you're living on a low income, you can't turn a heater on a cold day, you can't have an air conditioning going on a hot day, you know, you can't afford a decent feed, you can't go and have a decent holiday, you know, you just sit and watch the world go by. I mean, that's just a sad, tragic way to live. And it's not for you. There's a better way for you. So if you want to have a look at a bit of financial freedom, retiring early, you know, I mean, how would it be if you could knock 5 or 10 years off your working life? So you can go out and fish and play golf and do the shopping and the trips and the travel and the things, you know. If you can see yourself 10 years from today, if you looked at it and said, you know what, we took that one step and you knew that it changed your life, you knew that it put you on a different path. My path changed all those years ago when I took that different step. So take that step, come forward, let's sit, let's have a chat, let's see where you're at, we can help you go forward. You know, there's no risk at all to you. Oh, and what I didn't mention too, sorry about this, was that There's $291. I've got 3 gifts that I'm going to give you valued at $291 just for coming in and having the meeting and having the sit-down chat with us at the discovery session. So $291 worth of free gifts. The rest's all on me. I'm putting it all on the table for you. By all means, please touch base with me, but I hope to be talking to you in the next 2 days. I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm glad, so glad that you've got the DVD. Give your hubby or a partner a nice peck on the cheek and tell him, you know, get on your dole, because it's something that could change your life, and I hope it really does. And I hope to be speaking to you real soon. So all the best to you, your family and your loved ones. Thank you.